Welcome back to 90 Seconds Plus with Invercargill City Mayor Nobby Clark, and today we're going to kick off with what's happening with our Christmas lights. So, as you know, it's a hot potato and nothing seems to happen. But anyway, fill us in, Nobby.
Well, we're gonna do the same as we always do, which is predominantly the lights, and it's getting smaller and smaller numbers because they're not working properly. So that'll be for this year. The following year, we're not going to do anything, and that's a little bit controversial, but we just can't justify 100 grand. And we're clawing back on lots of different organisations, and so what we will hope to do the following year is get the retailers involved. Now that doesn't mean retailers who are also struggling are going to get into large costs, but we're going to hope that the people in that very CBD area start upgrading their shops, do a bit of light-hearted stuff that kids can walk past and see, be it lights, and we might have a first and second and third prize for them. Do it early enough in the year that you can also encompass the time when the Santa parade's on. Just put it back onto the retailers a little bit. Now I know they'll push back and say, look, things are tight, but it doesn't take much to do the front of the shop. And let's get a bit of civic pride back into it.
Well, that'd be good because we've obviously this Christmas and moving forward now, we're not going to have the H&J's Christmas window, so it's an opportunity here, even in Invercargill Central, to maybe reinvent something as well there. Yeah. And then I see, was it this week at the full council meeting, your plan to sell Donovan Park got shot down, so that's sort of done and dusted now.
So no, not dusted. No. So I wasn't selling Donovan Park, just the farm. Just the farm. So you're wrong again, Michael. The farm's about 37 hectares, and so all I was doing was pushing it along, putting some time frames in for the chief executive. My colleagues didn't support it enough in numbers, so we let it go. My worry is that I'll finish 13 runs from now, and we still won't have changed the status. So it's the reserve status you've got to change to residential to get it available to sell it, sell part of the land. And we may not sell all of it, we might just sell parcels of it. But the big issue is not the need for housing. The really big issue is money. If we can get $1 million per hectare, and there are 37 hectares here, then that's money we have in our back pocket when the government puts a squeeze on us about doing just the basics and capping our rate increases closer to inflation. So this year, our rates are going up 9.8. Inflation at the moment is sitting about 4. So if we were only allowed to do 4 or 5 and ongoing, that's huge. So if you want to keep the good quality of life you've got in Invercargill, you've got to have some other source of revenue. And the biggest one is things like cash in the bank. So it would have been a good thing. So I'm hoping that the staff will still get on and do that, but we'll wait and see.
The thing I struggle with, it seems to be, and I think most ratepayers do as well, in tough times, especially businesses, small, large, or whatever else, trim their cloth and tighten and look for cost savings and everything else. Never with any of the councils. Southland District, they're one of the worst. ES is bloated, I feel is bloated, and your council as well. You can certainly cut some cloth there, and I know it's a topic that some people don't like, but in reality, we're paying for this.
Well, that's the issue. I've always been really keen on low rates. I think 3 years ago we had a 2% rate increase, which is unheard of. And everybody said you'll crucify the city. The future rates will have to go through a ceiling. Well, they didn't have to go through a ceiling. You can cut costs, but be mindful. There are costs of cutting costs. So, for example, do you need a library open 7 days a week? Could it be 5 days? Do you need a swimming pool open 7 days a week? Could it be 5 or 6?
Or trim the hours.
Or trim the hours. So you cut the staffing down. Do we need as many parks as we've currently got? We've got about the same number of parks, or slightly more parks than Christchurch. Christchurch is 6 times the population than we are. So we've got lots of green space, and everybody loves it, but it comes at a cost. And then there are the centre plots that don't have any lovely coloured flowers in them. But again, everything comes at a cost. And so if you want to go line by line, which is what the Prime Minister said, that's fine. But be mindful, when he went line by line, he took out about 6,500 public servants. But 6 years ago, when he lost out and Labor came in, and that intervening six years, the public service grew by 18,000. So he's taken out about a third of what Labor put in. So that's a really easy option in lots of ways. But hey, the ratepayers will determine. I mean, personally, I think we should go through line by line and look at our costs. Absolutely.
And then the other topic is, look, our city's looking so great now, and we've got this eyesore and just a complete mess of the old Briscoes building and the containers and the mess underneath it. Now, I ran into Michael Day yesterday because this is a topic I'm not letting go because it needs sorted. And I mean, there seems excuses and they him and her, but there's nothing ever gets done. I mean, they've had the council's had 8 months or more now, or is it coming up a year, and nothing.
Well, I've said to council this week, my council colleagues and staff were there, that while our hands are tied around the Buildings Act and the code, we can't force the current owner to do a lot of things as much as we would like to. So we can't just go in and knock it over because heritage do. So our hands are tied. But what our hands are not tied on is the bloody ugly mess that's sitting on that corner. Which I went down there the other day and went past about, I can't remember, about midnight one night, and people were spilling out of the pub. Look, I tell you, if I was a female, I would not walk through those containers. And
it's not lit.
No, it's horrible. It's not lit. It's unsafe. And then there are people north of that say they're not getting any foot traffic because people go across the road. So I've said to my council colleagues, why don't we do what Langlands did when they had their construction? They put a nice walkway through. It was safe. It had lighting in it. It had artwork on the inside. It had windows that you could see out to the street and see what was going on. About $12,000 to do that, and about $100 a week to hire it. So we just need to get on and get that done. It's our city. We can't afford to wait for an owner that can't resolve this to do her bit.
And then we also Amy reported to hit up council for more detail on what's holding things up or why there's nothing getting done. And there's an engineer's report or some expert saying that that they can't put the containers under the veranda or this or that, but it needs removed off the road and you put through there. Or the other thing, but the thing, my point is, I want to see proof that that building is more dangerous now than it was before. I mean, because there's a number of dangerous buildings around town, but they're not all boarded up or even fenced off.
In that block there are earthquake-prone buildings, I know that.
Next door.
Yep, so they're not under any requirements other than potentially that they have to do something about the building in 25 years or 12 and a half. So they've got plenty of grace. For me, if the veranda's a problem, we should just say to the owner, we'll put the containers in, we'll pay the cost, the $12,000, but we're going to rip your veranda off. Just get in, take it off, then it's not an issue.
If it's the veranda.
And then you have the containers sitting on the footpath, not on the road.
Yes, because it frees up that turn back into Space Street and just gets traffic flow nicely. And it just tidies up the whole area. I mean, you could even hit up Dio just to give it a mural across the container so when it faces out to the street, it looks clash.
Why wouldn't you do something like that? Make it look really sharp. So it's not an ugly eyesore in a city that's trying to upgrade. So I have pushed it this week, and I'll keep pushing.
So are we. We're not. As I've said to a few people, I'm not letting this go because I love our city and I'm just sick of this nonsense. Well, council staff seem to bug around and him and her, and they'll find 10 excuses for not to do something instead of coming back going, hey, but here's 3 options.
I'm not sure I agree with that because that would be politically unsafe for me to do that. But we just need to take the initiative. We really do. We're caught up between a heritage building and a private owner and council's rights, and they often clash around private buildings. And so this is not unique to Invercargill. Others have got it as well. Hopefully the new RMA will sort that out, but that could be 4 or 5 years being bedded in, so we can't wait that long.
Just touching on the centre plots again, I see there was a letter to one of the media outlets from a real Karen, I mean the mayoress, about how they look very bland and boring, whereas, because once they were nice, bright, and they had, it was annuals, the one-off flowers where they plant them and they're done, but they're sort of getting a bit cheap and nasty these days, a bit cheap and cheerful.
Well, some of them, especially down Clyde Street, which is where people from the airport come into the city, are just bare land. And that's a challenge I'm putting to Rex, who's our Places and Spaces General Manager, to say, hey, look what they do in Gore, look what they do in Winton, look what they do in Tiana, which is stunning. Put some annuals in, or alternatively, put some perennials in it that last more than 1 year to cut down your need to keep pruning them or whatever. But put some colour in. Bare ground, just ugly. And all that happens is it's just covered with plastic bottles and beer bottles and other stuff. It's not a good look. So, we need to do some work in that area. I suspect that'll be a focus once Walkner's finished. And that whole construction stuff around that end done, then I think that's that's when the push will probably come. But
just touching on that, I was having a nose down there yesterday. It's quite good how they're starting to rip out all the awful old clock and what's gone. Not take that back, the clock, but all the awful concrete and all the. Yeah. It's going to be really good to have that refreshed.
Yeah, look, I went down there with my hot chocolate yesterday as well, and expecting, you know, my policy advisor at home always tells me there's going to be a howling gale come through there.
That's right,
You take that structure out, it's going to be terrible. Yeah. And I went down there and stood down and just, you know, thought, geez, I need a hat. Sunburn, you know, and it was just lovely. Yeah. What howling gale! It'll be much improved.
It is.
The clock is gonna move. It won't go back to. It's gonna move closer towards D Street and move north a little bit as well, where they're currently digging the hole. Yeah. So it'll allow for the buses to go around, but it'll still be quite a strong feature, and it'll be in a new frame as well, so not like the old one.
That's 90 Seconds Plus with Invercargill City Mayor Nobby Clark. Until next week, see you later.